Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking and great to have you along for episode 41 of the Deep Dive show. And we edge closer and closer to number 50. And who would have thought that about 12 months ago when we launched the show. I'd like to welcome in two of the original hosts of the show. Of course, I'm referring to Grant Tassie Brown and Peter Matiatis. How are we, guys?
Good, thanks, Lyndon.
We've had just a couple of tech issues to get started there, but Tassie's with us. We can hear him, we can see him, and we're all ready to go. Now, Tassie, you may as well get it off your chest tonight. We're just waiting for the dig at Peter about the quiz. How many has it been now?
Sort of kind of lost count, mate. I think it's like 10-1, 11-1. But look, it is what it is, man. Like it's like
I'd hate for you to keep counting records, Tassie. What's the record?
Who's saying the great?
So I've only won one.
I said the great Usain Bolt. Early days had a few close competitors, but then he just broke away, and it's kind of like that, mate. But look, who knows tonight? I don't want to jinx it. Peter could have been training hard all week.
Is that right, Pete?
I think we were going 1 for 1 last year. I can't remember how much it was, but it was no one went back to back. This year I won the first one, and I won one about 5 weeks ago. So there's two. So I don't know how I'm still on one, but I can understand the way you Tasmanians count, Tassie. It's okay, mate.
Oh, there's some fight words.
You'll get an AFL team in 50 years. That's cool.
I don't want an AFL team. I already told Lyndon last week. I go for Collingwood, and I'll always go for Collingwood. So.
Well, you're a Collingwood man too, aren't you, Pete?
Yeah, certainly am.
I don't know what I was thinking there, but sorry.
Chatting away, guys. Look, on a very important note, I know, Lyndon, you went away and you supported the Hall of Fame in America, but the Australian National Boxing Hall of Fame had their night, and it's going to be Saturday, August 26th at Crown Casino.
Yep.
And if you want tickets, contact Damien Membre, 0409 851 318. It's about $210. You get a 3-course meal and drinks. You get to meet guys like Jeff Fennick. I think George Kambosos was Fighter of the Year. And I want your input here, guys. Well, these are the inductees for this year. Hassi Hussein. I mean, what can you tell me about Hassi?
Well, what more can you say, Tassie? I mean, you know him really well. Obviously, I know him really well. He's if anyone's deserving of a spot in the Hall of Fame, it's Hassi, I would say.
Love Hassi, mate. He's him and Bomber were my two favourite amateurs growing up. He was a gun Olympian with you. Yep. As a pro, 2-time world title contender, war with RSA, and he fought the great Thailand world champion. I think he made about a lot of the events. My Hassi was a machine. I sparred him many rounds. He's a brother. He's a dear friend of mine, and a very worthy inductee. He is the great Hassi Hussein.
And then there's Sharon Anyos, the Wild Thing.
I know Sharon. Yeah, I know Sharon really well. I used to spar with her. I was based on the Gold Coast in 95. It was 94, 95, and I used to go and spar her before she turned pro and went for it, I suppose. And they don't call her the Wild Thing for nothing. She could put them together, and obviously she went on to have some great wins. So especially with the women's boxing the way it is now, she was one of the pioneers. So well deserving as well.
Gary Sinclair as well. I mean, he came down here as a sparring partner for Costa Zoo and deserved everything that he's got. Now, do you guys know Len Dittmar?
No.
I know of him. That's back in the day. That's back in TV.
What can you tell me about Len Dittmar, Tassie?
Mate, just not a lot about him. I just know that I think he was back in that era, mate, like of the Chucky Raymond era and Tony Mundine Senior, I think.
No, he was a bit before that, mate. He was actually in the 40s.
No, maybe Tommy Burns, Vic Patrick.
He fought who?
No, was he maybe in the Vic Patrick, Tommy Burns era, maybe? Or was that
he beat Tommy Burns. He fought Dave Sands. He actually moved up to, because he was a welterweight, he moved up to middleweight and fought the great Dave Sands. He fought Mickey Tollis, I'm pretty sure, and Mickey Tollis. He beat Tommy Burns. So I think he passed away in 2007. He would have been in his 80s. But it's good
I know of him.
when you see these veterans go in because their family members come up to accept the award on their behalf and they realise what kind of legends they were, grandpa or whatever, or uncle Lenny. They get up there and they play the footage of them, and it's a real great night. I think we should try and make an effort. I'm going to be there. I've already bought it.
I did speak to Damien a few weeks ago, and I'm really glad you actually brought it up, Pete, because he did send me all the details, and I must admit for the last 2 or 3 weeks I've completely forgotten about mentioning it. So I really, that's great that you've brought that up, because it's the 26th of August at the, where is it? The Crown Casino. Yeah.
And Brett McCormick and Damien Membray handle this part of it in Melbourne, but everyone comes from all around Australia. It's a great night.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times. It's a great night.
Jeff Fennick's always there. He's always a massive supporter, and you get to meet all the former world champions. It's a real good night of boxing.
Yeah, no.
And George Kambosos being fighter of the year. I mean, there might be an opportunity that George is going to be there, but obviously now that he's got his fight October 16, he might not be able to go.
Yeah, we might be able to just come down for the night. But yeah, it is a really good night. And again, I thank you for bringing it up, Pete, because I've completely forgotten about it the last few weeks. But it is a great night. It's a really good vote. It's a really good feed on the night. It's not a massive crowd, so you get to go around the tables and meet everyone. They have a really good presentation. So give Damien a call. And I'm glad, again, you brought it up, Pete, because I just want to raise one thing. And I went to the funeral of Stuart Duncan today, and it was sort of mentioned around a couple of people. I think someone like Stuart Duncan should be posthumously, is that what it's called? Posthumously inducted, in my opinion, as one of the best matchmakers this country's seen. I know we've got to have all different types of inductees. They have them for different things, officials and everything. And I think I would love to see Stuart inducted for what he's done for Australian boxing, matchmaking, promoting, managing, all that sort of stuff. It's just a little something I would like to see as the Hall of Fame expands. So,
100%.
And I'm sure you guys will agree. There's probably a heap of other people across different facets of the sport that could be inducted at some stage as well. But I think let's just not remember the fighters. Let's remember everyone that makes Australian boxing great. So,
there's non-participants as well. Lynn,
I would love to see him inducted.
No, but they do that. I mean, Peter got a promoter. Peter got a promoters award, and the big Hall of Fame do media and people. So like they 100% he deserves it, and there's no reason why they can't do that. I mean, if promoters and that get an award, why not a matchmaker?
Yeah, such and you guys know there's such a massive part of events. They're the sort of forgotten people, but they're the ones that pretty much bring it all together. So,
not just that though, but also the way he did it.
Yep.
I keep going back to the way he brought Horn along.
Yep.
Horn's matches were, as I said, mate, he's seen every style, left-hander, right-hander, tall, short. He come along, and he went, and by the time he was ready for Manny, I mean, with Stewie played a massive part in the Horn upbringing, and I just pinpoint that to bringing a boxer up from his debut, up and up and up, and just each time getting a bit better an opponent, a bit better, bigger test, get over that hurdle, bit bigger test again, over that hurdle, and I think that's the key.
Also, a guy that I'd like to see inducted is Keith Ellis Sr.
Yep,
100%. Growing up, he trained 27 Australian champions, and he was the trainer,
senior,
promoter, and manager. So I mean, he was a guy that promoted stuff, and also trained Mr. Ellis to a world title.
Yeah. Sorry, senior and junior. Who did you say, Pete?
Keith Ellis, the trainer that passed away about.
Yeah.
His brother.
But there's a senior and a junior. Yeah.
Yeah.
And good point, mate. And maybe we'll get a bit of a poll happening about some people can be nominated. But just getting back to Stuart, the fact that he guided 3 world champions, Jeff Horn, Joseph Parker, and now Jaya Pataya. It's a pretty big
feat. What a terrific effort from Stu, and rest in peace, Stu. And
rest in peace. And it was a really lovely service today. They did it really, really well. And rest in peace and all the best to the family, like we said last week. All right, guys, let's get on to the rest of the show. Plenty going on all over the world at the moment, the Aussie and world scene. We've got a few things to go over tonight with the Aussie scene for starters, then we'll do the world scene, and then, of course, we'll jump into the talking points. I think I've got 5 or 6 tonight, I think there was, and then obviously into the quiz to finish off, and then we'll let Tassie get to work. So let's get into it. The first point, guys, this is probably I think the biggest news of the week. Shannon O'Connell, Ebanie Bridges, looks like it is a goer. It's been mandated by the IBF to take place before September 25th. I had a talk with Glenn Jennings and Shannon O'Connell on the weekend. It was good enough of Glenn to give me a yell and say, right, here's the news. Do you want an interview? Let's go. And we just did it pretty much on the spot. And Shannon, of course, is on holiday in Bali. Before I get to your comments, guys, let's just hear a little bit of what Shannon had to say. What are the thoughts this morning when the news has come out that Ebanie Bridges now has till September 25 to, like Glenn said, to make something happen? You know, it must sort of get the fires burning in the belly after a little bit of banter that's been going both ways.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
nice.
It's super exciting that the IBF came and, understood where we were coming from. We were actually chasing this fight and to be made mandatory before Ebanie even won it. So, I mean, like, there's been a lot of people saying, oh, Shannon's just trying to write off Ebanie's name, but that's not true. I want that belt, and I deserve a shot at that belt. It didn't really bother me who held it. If she didn't win it, we was going to be chasing Roman just as hard.
Yeah.
So it's taken this long for it to happen, and I think it's a massive thing for women's boxing as well, because they don't generally make mandates in the women's. So hopefully this is the start of a lot of people getting shots that they probably deserve in other divisions.
Tassie, there's a fair bit going on in the Aussie scene at the moment, but who would have thought we'd have a female fight front and centre?
Yeah, no, it's worked out well, and a credit to the IBF, which they're known as the best body to make mandatories. They got no hesitation about stripping you. So, look, you've got 2 Aussies. You've got 2 blondes, both attractive ladies, both can fight. You've got one who's been the pioneer of women's boxing in recent years, and the queen, and possibly the GOAT in Shannon. Ebanie has gone another way with sort of the sex sells and the weigh-ins with the lingerie. But she did go over to England with Eddie Hearn, who's one of the best in the business. And she has got in there and won fights. And, it showed that she's actually a real deal fighter and won a world title. So they've got 2 Aussies. One's got the belt, one's number 1 challenger. Shannon deserves this so much. And there's a bit of bad blood too. So, mate, it's awesome. It's awesome. And it's great the IBF have, let it go. A credit to Glenn Jennings and No Limit, because soon as Shannon gets with them, look at everything that's happening for her. She's in a different world now, because she sees how you're meant to be treated in this tough game of boxing. So this is huge. I'm interested in it. It's going to be an awesome weigh-in, obviously. It's going to be a good press conference. It's going to be a good fight. And obviously, we're assuming Australia should have it. I mean, assuming you're going to England, you've got 2 Aussies, even though Ebanie's a matchroom. So let's hope it's in Australia. And let's get it on. It's awesome, mate. It's so good. And nothing against Ebanie, but good luck to Shannon, because Shannon's a friend of ours. And obviously she's with, Team Jennings, which is Team Zoo, which is
Team Tassie
as well. Let's do it. Let's go, girls.
Pete, before I let... Oh, yeah, I'll bet. Pete, before I let you comment, mate, I just want to hear what Glenn had to say.
It's the very early stages. We've received the official mandatory obligation documents, and so the negotiation period starts on Monday. It's basically with Matty Rose, and full credit to Matty. It's been a long haul in on this one. It's been going back and forth over understandings of how rules are to be interpreted, and we stayed to our course and said we we appreciate the opportunity. We believe that Shannon's entitled. She's been the number one contender for a long time and seems to be overlooked for some reason. And the IBF looked at all considerations and ultimately ruled in our favour, and we can't be any happier than that. So from Monday, it's handed over to Matty Rose now, the promoters, No Limits and Matchbox, Eddie Hearn. It's up to them. They've got 30 days to thrash out a deal, to thrash out the fight, who's going to promote it, where's it going to be, purses, money, everything goes into play. And if they reach an agreement within 30 days, the IBF have made it clear in the mandatory documents that the fight must take place before the 26th of September.
So, Pete, not just a big fight for women's boxing, but a big fight for Australian boxing.
For world boxing, really. I mean, this is going to be a massive problem. Good to see that they got it on. And, Shannon O'Connell deserves her chance. You know, she's done the hard work and she deserves his shot. And it's going to be an interesting fight. It's going to be a real good, interesting fight. Ebanie Bridges is probably, used to the big stage, so she's not going to be overawed one little bit. So, really looking forward to this fight. I think it should happen in Australia. Probably Matchroom will promote it. They've already got Paro and Jarvis. I reckon that's their second promotion. It looks that way anyway.
Yeah, Tassie, you heard Glenn say they were starting negotiating on Monday. Now that interview was last Saturday, so they were negotiating tonight. We're filming this obviously on a Thursday night, so the negotiation started on Monday, which would go to show. Especially, I saw Shannon put a post up today about fight camp started. So an announcement looks imminent.
Yeah. Look, hopefully they announce it very soon. And as I said, man, it's got a lot of interest in it, and women's boxing is booming, and it's, I'm happy for both competitors, not just Shannon, because Ebanie's gone over and won a title, but I think Shannon's going to take that title off her, and pretty convincingly. But look, credit to Glenn Jennings, No Limit, IBF, everyone involved for just getting it to happen, and let's hopefully we have a date soon.
Pete, like you said, it'd be great to have it on the Paro Jarvis card, but do you think I think Glenn spoke about it the other day, do you think it would be better to maybe just hold off a little bit and maybe do it in conjunction with No Limit, so get Matchroom and No Limit to work together, obviously pending the relationship status between the two promotional companies, and maybe have it as the main event and have a Liam Wilson or someone like that on the undercard to sort of juicy the card up a little bit as a co-main event? Do you think that would be better to give these girls their own show, or do you still think it should be maybe co-main on the Paro Jarvis card?
Well, going by that date, it fits in with that date. So, I mean, as competitors, don't want to go on that date. You don't want to wait any longer just so you can get another show in. They want to do it when it's available, and that's going to be a big stage, and it's, Matchroom's first promotion here in Australia. What a great way to kick it off with two massive fights.
Yeah, and if you want to check out the interview, that is on YouTube, the full interview, so check that out. Just on Paro and Jarvis, guys, I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit here. Tassie, do you think it's a little bit strange? You can see the poster, the original poster on the screen there, that September 2022 was at the press conference I said it was going to be. Do you think it's a little bit strange that there's been no real announcement yet, no mentions of undercard fights? So I think you might have a little bit of inside goss. What can you tell us?
Yeah, look, I know for a fact it was all about dates and trying to get venues in Brisbane, which is they found it very difficult in September. So Eddie Hearn's a busy man, as you know. He's got Canelo in September. He's got Joshua not long after, or vice. I mean, he's only got certain dates he can be available for. The dates he were available for, they couldn't get a venue in Brisbane, not to save themselves. Entertainment centre, buddy, this centre, that centre, whatever centres in Brisbane, sure there's heaps. They could not get one. So it's got pushed back to October. From my source, I believe, from very good in sources, it's going to happen mid-October.
Okay.
So I don't see it happening mid-October.
That would put it right in line with the Kambosos fight, Pete, and you obviously know a little bit about that. What can you tell us?
I've been told it's a day before, Peter. That's what I've been told.
What can you tell about what?
Well, you know about the Tassie just said he heard it might be the night before Kambosos and Haney too. Do you have any? I know it has been confirmed that is now the date at Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne. Is that what you're hearing as well? Okay, yeah.
I'm hearing there's 8 fights on the card, and both Maloney's are on. That's for sure.
Makes sense.
There's going to be a WBA female world title fight on as well. I don't want to go too much into that. But
I know about that as well.
You can go into the female ratings and see who qualifies for that. It's an Aussie girl. So it's definitely going to be good. David Naiki's back on the card. So it's going to be a pretty big card as far as having the fighters that they want on.
Devin Haney's fighter as well.
Amari Jones, he'll be back. So they're going to go, I think, with 8 fights. It's unfortunate Michael Zarafa couldn't get on the card against a Brazilian for a world title. That won't be happening on that card. That's unfortunate for Michael. But I'm sure he's going to get his opportunity somewhere down the track. But it's going to be a massive show and a massive card. I don't think Eddie Hearn would be going the day before a card like that. I just couldn't see it.
Well, that would be
even though it's
Sunday.
in Brisbane. Even though it's in Brisbane.
We're talking pay-per-view wise. I mean, people aren't going to be spending $60 and then another $60 and go 120 back to back or whatever it costs.
That's a good point.
I just think they'll give it a gap. And Eddie Hearn's a pretty smart businessman. I know Eddie Hearns knows he's out of joint because he kind of got flicked off the deal with Devin Haney, and Top Rank got involved there. I think because Lou Diabella didn't want to deal with Matchroom. So he's probably, there's a little bit of, there's going to be some unofficial sparring between promoters as there is. So there's going to be some mind games. But, we're talking about a big card here. We're talking Haney, Kambosos, Maloney's on the card. We're talking about a pretty decent card, and in Melbourne as well. So I think Parra and Jarvis will probably. I don't know. I don't know about that side of it, but I think Kambosos and Haney will make a lot of noise once they start ramping the promotion again.
Isn't Eddie Hearn with DAZN though? Wouldn't that not be a pay-per-view then? No,
DAZN does pay-per-views though.
Yeah, but this isn't going to be a pay-per-view, is it?
Would Parra and Jarvis be pay-per-view?
I'd say it'll be pay-per-view in Australia, I would think, wouldn't it?
In Australia,
Can they do that with DAZN? Can they do that?
Yeah, no, Canelo Triple G is DAZN, and that's a pay-per-view.
Yeah, they do pay-per-view. I'm just saying, would Parra and Jarvis be pay-per-view overseas? I don't think so. It'll probably be a free whatever you get for DAZN, but in Australia, they'll probably make it a pay-per-view.
I would say they'll make it in Australia a pay-per-view and overseas for free. I would think, based on previous shows.
Yeah.
Pete, while we're going there, sorry mate, while you're going there, Pete, you mentioned the Michael Zarafa situation. It's a little bit of unscripted here. What's the go with Michael Zarafa, and why would he be put up as a potential fight? I know you just said it's not going to happen, but why would he have been put up for a potential fight on that card when he has no affiliation with them, or has that changed?
Well, the Brazilian who's the number 1 in the world, Falcao, he's with Top Rank.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Top Rank are running the show, so if he had been on the card and Michael had been available, that would have been a good fight for Top Rank to make.
And what's happened?
Well, Michael's not on the card, so they've invested more heavily in the both Maloney's.
But is there a reason why he's not on the card? I'm sure he'd be available. He's always ready.
That part I can't comment on because I don't know about. And I don't want to go into things that I'm not involved with. I do know he's not on the card, and both Maloney's are.
Okay.
Which is interesting. And it's good for the Maloney's. They get another lick of the lollipop or lick of the ice cream, as they say. They get in there and they get the job done. And obviously they're looking to fight for bigger fights as well as they keep going. And that'll be interesting as well. I know Jason wants another shot at the winner, Anui and Butler, but I'm told that Anui, once he beats Butler, he's going to move up to Super Bantam. So all those Bantam titles that he's got are going to be vacant. So Jason's going to actually get a shot at a vacant title, and that's going to be next year sometime, obviously. But he's going to get a shot at a vacant title because, let's be quite honest, no one beats a Nui.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's...
What do you want to call it?
Yeah, in a way, Anui, whatever. But that's great news. So, and Tassie Rod Laver Arena should be a big day down in Melbourne. It's great that it's finalised, but obviously another big day though.
Yeah, well, I won't say much. I know who Peter's talking about with the female fighter, so I won't say much about that. But yeah, mate, I'm looking forward to being there.
Who is it, Tassie? Who is it, Tassie? Who is
all good, brother. All good.
Give me the initial of the first name.
I'm probably going to be sort of around in someone's corner on the night, I reckon. So, yeah, mate, it should be good. Looking forward to it.
In whose corner are you going to be, Tassie? Give us a bit more information. Come on.
Doesn't matter, brother. It's all good, mate. You
all right.
Up for the quiz, mate.
Only the big bucks to hold out here, mate. Let them watch it.
All right, let's move on before you say something and then no one will give you any information ever again if you say it on here. So we'll move on. All Aussie fights. Look at this one. I've got this one from the Oz Boxing site the other day. Darragh Foley, Stevie Spark. The feud is heating up ahead of the potential fight. You can see there, Stevie Spark said, "This is the bloke meant to give me a challenge. Embarrassing. After seeing that, I would dust this man in 2 rounds. He looked about 89 years old, slow and as stiff as a board. Ha ha ha. Couldn't even stop Hunter. Think he needed to retire." So that's that one. I'll just quickly read this one as well. This is again from Stevie Spark. I haven't seen nothing from Darragh Foley just yet. I think it's well known I'm not the problem for this fight to be made. Never have been. You guys said September. I agreed. Then it was October. I agreed. The only problem, it seems, is No Limit doesn't have the resources, which I would doubt. They seem to spend them on football fights instead of real fights. As the champion, I'm happy to travel anywhere for this. Once again, proving why I'm the best in this country at 140 pounds. I would actually dispute that, by the way. I think Liam Paro, if you ask me, would be the number one. But anyway, I've never backed out of a fight nor priced myself out of a fight, but I won't take it for half the amount I can earn in old, whatever this, Toowoomba, whatever that says. Darragh, you also need to stop asking No Limit for another warm-up fight before me. Aren't you ready? Stop telling lies to the Australian public. Where's your balls now, Foley? Fighting words there, Tassie. Hey, look, it'd be fireworks. Wouldn't it be a great fight to see?
It'd be a great fight to see. A great fight to see. I know both guys. I'm actually pretty good friends of Foley. I know Foley really well. Met Stevie Sparks recently up in Queensland. He was a really, really nice gentleman of a bloke. So they're both good guys. They both can fight. They're the same weight. They both don't mind sort of talking it. It's going to be a cracker. This is a really good fight. It'll be worthy of any show, main event as a main event, or a really good undercard fight to a massive fight.
Yeah. This
is a good fight. So let's make it happen.
Pete, sorry, Tassie, keep going. Sorry.
No, you're right. Yep. Just a great fight. 2 great fighters. Let's do it.
Pete, how good would this be? I think, what do they call it? No Limit on Fox, they call it. How good would this fight be as a main event on No Limit on Fox? It'll be awesome.
Yeah, it would. I mean, let's get it on. I'm pretty sure they'll do it. It's not, I mean, how old's Foley now? He's 36, 37.
Something like that. He's mid-30s anyway, whatever that, yeah.
Yeah, he's got to go now. I mean, Sparks obviously is a dangerous puncher. And he's pretty explosive, so it'll be a good fight.
Who you got?
Who do you like in that one, Lyndon?
I think Stevie Spark gets the job done. And I've never met Darragh Foley, but I like the old larrikin part of him, the Irish coming out of him, and I think he's a good fighter. I just think Stevie Spark, he's a young bull, and I think he stops Darragh Foley in 6 or 7 rounds. That's just my opinion. What do you reckon, Tassie? Or do you have to keep on the fence on this one? All right, we'll move on. Just asking. All right, let's get on to some world news, guys. Plenty going on. Well, there's sort of plenty going on. There's a lot of perceived stuff happening, but not a lot actually penciled in. It's been a little bit quiet the last couple of weeks. Let's just get into the first bit of news. Not massive news, but Danny Garcia is back this weekend against Jose Benavidez. What do you think, Tassie? It's taking place in Brooklyn, New York. Who do you think's got this one?
Mate, I like Danny Garcia, and I think he's, you know, in his time when he beat Amir Khan and beat Lucas Mathise, there were some, you know, big fights. That's a long time ago now, but he was up there as one of the top fighters in the world. I think he held a couple of belts at super lightweight. Big puncher, left hook, big left hook. When he went up to welterweight, doesn't throw enough punches for my liking, and you know he started being a bit of the what's it called when you're the testing stick for the bigger fight. So he started being the guy that you'd fight. He lost at Thurman, lost to Porter, lost to Spence. Never gets stopped, never goes down badly, but just sort of become the gatekeeper. I like to think he's got enough of Benavidez, and I'm going to go with him because I like to see him, you know, be back in the top notch again because he's a very good fighter, Garcia. So I'm going to go with Garcia. Hopefully he's reinvented himself, and hopefully we haven't seen the best of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Pete, do you think he's got much left in him? I know he's even talk about him maybe going up to 154. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think he's got a bit left in him, and I think there's some interesting fights there for him. It's good to see Adrian Broner back as well. I mean, he's a talented division world champion. Is he going to come up next on the slider by pinch?
No, I didn't actually put him on. I did see that, but no, I didn't have enough room for. Sorry,
he's a world division world champion, and but these guys are coming back. They're talented fighters. It's just they've got to get the right fights and get focused again. And obviously they've made money and they're set in their ways, and it's hard to keep the hunger up. But now they've got to reinvent themselves if they want to keep making good money in boxing.
Yeah.
They can't keep going on
a bit like you, Peter. When you become a movie star, it was hard to stay hungry. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure. I'm assuming being a PBC show, it might be on Fox Sports. I think it is actually on Sunday morning.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah,
that would be. Yeah.
So check that one out. Another one, just quickly, is this man Shakur Stevenson. Has been penciled in the fight Robson Conceição, I'll say, September 23. The reason I'm bringing this one up, Tassie, obviously it should be a good one. It's a couple of months away, of course, in Newark, New Jersey, but there's already talk about Shakur Stevenson, Vasily Lomachenko in 2023. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's easy to make because they're both for top rank, and Bob Arum's been quoted as saying he wants that fight to happen. So I'm tipping Shakur Stevenson to one day be pound for pound number one. Canelo, Crawford and that now, but this guy is the guy. As I said, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. Floyd Mayweather's retired and everyone's asked looking for the next. Anyone who's a good young African-American fighter, they sort of think it's the next Floyd. Now, they said Gervonta Davis, they said Devin Haney. I haven't seen it with them guys. I think Shakur is the next big thing, and I think that he will dominate for a long time. So I predict that. Yeah, and I love Loma. I think Shakur will beat Loma, and he will one day, probably a year or two, be number one pound for pound. No argument. He'll be that guy.
Pete, who's your early tip for Stevenson and Lomachenko?
Real tough fight. Real tough fight to pick that one because, I don't know. I mean, Lomachenko, but Lomachenko now 34 years of age.
Yeah.
He's been inactive. I think Shakur can edge him out. I mean, I'm a massive back for Shakur. I remember him in the amateurs when he was in the pro with Top Rank. They were really, really wrapped in him, and he's starting to really look like a pro now. He's getting a man's strength. I think he's going to, be one of the stars of boxing. There's so many good kids now on the way up, and it's looking good for boxing. And when you've got a company like Top Rank behind you, you're going to get every opportunity.
Yeah, I agree, and I think actually.
Peter, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Both of you. Considering how it's a big flight, Peter, would Bob Arum come back again to Australia, make the trip at the age of whatever he is, nearly 90? Would he make the trip again, Peter? Do you think?
100%. Bob will be here.
Wow.
100%.
First class, though, Tassie.
We were doing smaller shows in Shanghai. I'll tell you a story about Bob. There was a company called Seeker. They had Zhu Shiming, and they'd signed up the big young Ma, the basketball, and they had a show during the day and then a show at night. During the day, it was all 4 rounders. They'd have 20 fights. All Chinese boxers looking to fight the next talent to fight on the evening show. So I had Randy Peddle-Corin on in the evening. Bob Arum left 10 in the morning, stayed the whole day, watched the whole 20 fights, went back to the hotel, had something to eat, and went back and watched the normal show. So he was watching fights all day.
What a boxing man.
So, I mean, Bob's going to be in Australia. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You can bank on that one.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I'd ask you, Peter, because you're the one you're in the know, mate, with them guys, because you're definitely very connected with Bob and Lou DiBella and such. So.
Yep. Not really, mate. Not really. They just sometimes they're there and they're good boxing people. If they know that you're serious and you're really into the sport.
Yeah, but you paid your dues, Peter. You've earned that respect from them top guys, mate. So I take my hat off to you.
I expect you to be chaperone when he's in Australia, Pete. That's how I reckon.
Yeah, but I've seen Peter in action with these guys, mate. He's paid his dues and earned the respect from the top guys in the world, mate. Doesn't matter what happens in the quiz. He's got the respect from the top guys, mate. Bob Arum has got my number.
He's a bit cocky tonight, isn't he, Pete? With good reason, of course. Let's keep moving on.
I'm giving him compliments. I'm picking him up.
Got another fight added to the Canelo Triple G 3 card on September 17. This one should be a war. Ali Akhmedov versus Gabriel Rosado. Tassie, this one should be a war.
Yeah, it should be, mate. It should be awesome.
Pete, looking like a pretty good card there. You can see there. I don't think we've mentioned it. Rodriguez Gonzalez will be a ripper. I'm not sure the other 2 fights there, but it should be a ripper show they're putting on over there.
It shouldn't. It's going to be interesting to see how Triple G comes up now up against Canelo. And Canelo coming off a loss. We saw Triple G's last fight. He looked. I mean, he fought the tough Japanese world champion in Tokyo, so he travelled in the guy's backyard, and he done well. I mean, he stopped him in 7 rounds, so he should be in some type of form against Canelo. But I can't see him beating Canelo. I just can't. I think now the difference is it just keeps getting wider and wider. It kind of reminds me of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. The more the fight, the more Fury gets in front of him. That's how I'm seeing this one. I don't think there'll be a stoppage. I don't think anyone can stop Triple G, but I think this one will be pretty comfortable for Canelo.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether both of them have got anything in the tank. Well, obviously Canelo has, but we'll see about Triple G. But we'll obviously each week as the countdown comes on, we'll preview that and go over it in full as we get closer to the date. Now, Tassie, how about this one? I saw this the other day. I was tempted not to put it in because I know how offended you guys get. But what do you think about this? Mayweather-McGregor 2 reportedly being negotiated for March 2023. What are your thoughts? This is a real fight, by the way, not an exhibition. What are your thoughts?
So he's going to go 51-0, is he?
Yeah, well, apparently records are on the line. It's going to be for 10 rounds, apparently, and it's going to be $1 billion fight, according to reports.
So Conor will be 0-2.
Pretty much, yeah. That's great. I mean, we can laugh, but the guys are going to probably earn $200, $300, $400 million each. It's just ridiculous.
No, they won't. No, they won't.
Yeah, reckon. No, reckon. What are your thoughts, Pete? You reckon they'll eat it up again?
Look, people are sick of this circus. Conor's just partying on at Islands. He's finished as a fighter. Yeah. Floyd's finished. He's mid-40s. He's trying to handpick. It's really a joke. It has that. It is a joke. I probably won't even watch it.
Yeah,
if Dana White. There's a good fight on the undercard. I might watch it. Mate, Floyd. If Floyd fights someone that's semi-retired, he should fight Manny and let them fight one more time, and then both of them earn their money. And it becomes it. I mean, Conor McGregor's not a fighter. He's not a boxer. He's an MMA guy. UFC. You know, I mean, there'll
I
be
didn't watch the
local
first
Australians.
one, guys.
You didn't?
I didn't watch the first one.
Oh, the first one was a fit. You couldn't
I
see
didn't
that
watch it, though.
if Floyd was pulling his punches and just holding him up. You've got something wrong. Floyd said he wanted to fight like a Mexican fighter. Please, come on.
I think.
Why didn't he fight like a Mexican fighter when he fought Manny?
Go ahead, Tassie.
I didn't watch it. I was at Crown having lunch at the seafood place there, and I deliberately didn't watch it for a reason because every dickhead was watching it, and I didn't want to watch it because I thought it's not boxing, so I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I watched the YouTube clips later, but I never watched it live.
Respect that, Tassie. Respect that immensely.
I think, Pete, I'm with you. I think if he's going to come out of retirement and for one fight, and put that undefeated record on the line for that amount of money, why not go for Manny Pacquiao in a fight that all fans will be across, and he would probably make the same amount of money anyway, and give the fans what they want.
He'll make more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right.
McGregor's getting smoked in UFC fights now. So what's he? I mean, that's what he does. He's normally a terrific UFC fighter. He gets smoked in one round in UFC fights. So he's a party animal. What's he going to offer in boxing? He's not a boxer.
But, mate, you know the MMA nuffies are going to, or UFC nuffies are going to eat it up. You know that. They're going to say Connor's going to get him this time. He's learnt, and that's what they want. That's what they want. The real boxing fans like Tassie will be having lunch at a casino instead of watching it. But anyway, that's...
I might do the same. I might do exactly the same. I might go to Grady this time, and I'll sit there and I'll film myself live while I'm there eating my gnocchi.
Guys, one more thing before we go. It's just a quick thing. This caught my eye the other day. Muhammad Ali's WBC heavyweight belt, the one he won against George Foreman, sold for $6.18 million US dollars.
Congratulations, Lyndon. Congratulations. Well done.
And now, sorry, that's
Ron
8.
Bottom,
Sorry?
Did Ron Bottom,
John Rombotis, yeah. But 8.91 million Australian dollars. That is just an amazing. And it was actually sold to Jim Isray, who owns the Indianapolis Colts in the NFL. So he just probably found it in his ashtray somewhere in the car and forked out nearly 9 million Australian dollars for the belt. I mean, it's a great bit of memorabilia. Apparently, he's got a few bits of Ali's memorabilia, and this would obviously be the jewel in the crown. But I just thought I'd put it in because that's an unbelievable result for whoever sold it. I would think. I'm assuming it's his family's estate. So,
Hey, Peter, you're not disrespecting my mate John Rombotis, are you?
No one disrespects Johnny. He's the best auctioneer in Australia.
He's a good friend of mine, mate, Johnny.
Yeah, he does good things, John. Former Fitzroy and Port Adelaide footballer from memory, I think.
And Richmond.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're almost to that important time of the night, but I've just got a few quick talking points to get through. Of course, this is the talking points. Guys, I've got 5 different ones to go through tonight. Doesn't have to be long-winded answers, just a quick point of view. I'll give my one first, and then you guys can have 30 seconds or a minute, whatever you need to, just some things that have popped up, again, that have caught my eye. The first one, Tassie, Ryan Garcia isn't ready for Gervonta Davis. Now, this is coming from Tim Bradley. A few people have had a bit of a comment about it, about whether he's actually ready for the power of Davis based on his last fight. I think it might be a little bit early for Garcia as far as ability goes and where he's at his career, but probably the right time as far as cashing in on a little bit of the exposure at the moment. What do you think, Tassie?
Yeah, I think it's the right time. I think I don't think he beats Tank, but mate, he had a good amateur career. He fought Devin Haney 3 or 4 times. I think he's fast, he's powerful himself. If he wants Tank so bad, then do it. Why not? They'll both make a shitload of money. It'll be massive because both have got big followers. I mean, Ryan Garcia is an Instagram star. Tank is literally a star. Like, NBA players go to Tank's fight. I mean, actors and that. So I think, the time's right. Make it happen. And then whoever wins it, try and take on the winner of George and Haney.
Makes sense.
And then, because you know, Garcia talking about it's not about belts. Well, it is if you haven't fucking got one. Then aim to be the champion. So whoever wins out of them two, try and fight the winner out of George and Haney and try and win the belts. Because, you know, I don't give a fuck. If you haven't got a belt, I know guys have got big profiles these days, but Haney's got all the belts. He's number one, and that's it. George was, now Haney is.
Pete?
Yeah, no, I don't think the fight will happen now. They'll keep plodding along with it. Garcia's only 23. I mean, that fight will probably happen in 2 or 3 years' time, realistically.
2 or 3 years, jeez. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll happen when he's 25, 26. He's making money now for low-risk fights. He's going in there and there's 75, 25 fights and he's making truckloads of money. Why would he derail anything like that right at the moment? And he's still young enough to keep doing it. I mean, there's going to come a time where he starts to, peter out with his money and he's going to need to get those big fights, and that'll happen and he'll be a lot more mature for it. But I guarantee that won't happen in the next 18 months. I will take any money on that will not happen.
He's talking up a big game, though. He's all over social media, anywhere, anytime, any weight. So, but I'm with you, mate. They love to talk it up, but of course, as we say, we've got to back it up as well. Let's get to talking point number 2. Is Anthony Joshua serious? Now, what this one is, I saw the other day, Anthony Joshua has come out, Tazzy, and said that if he wins the belts against Usyk, he's going to give him up, doesn't worry about him, he's going to be the people's champion and doesn't care about belts, and he's going to relinquish the belts. Is he trying to maybe match Tyson Fury a little bit here, maybe spark a little bit of interest in maybe a potential fight with him, do you think?
Yeah, I think so, mate. I didn't hear that, but I don't know. Who cares, really?
Yeah.
I've got no interest in Joshua. I think Usyk beats him again, and then, maybe he's trying to get a bit of what's name. Look, it'd be good if he did win, for him and Fury, the English fans to have it, because it would be huge. That's the only way I want him to win, is for him and Fury to actually, because I've always wanted Fury to punch his head in. I've always wanted that. Not that I not like Joshua, but I'm a Fury man. I hope Fury bashes his head in.
Pete?
I don't know, man. It's an interesting fight, but he's got to win the fight first to be able to throw the titles in the bin to make the statement. There's no certainty, and I mean, Usyk was going life and death with Brightus, and Joe Pataya just smoked Brightus. I mean, where does that really leave the level of where Joshua is? I mean, I said it ages that Frank Bruno would have beaten Joshua. There's no doubt in my mind Bruno would have beaten him.
Yeah.
Bruno would have, very similar. Bruno just is a touch tougher and a touch more durable. I mean, Joshua, if I was Joshua's team, I wouldn't even be doing this fight. You're better off just fighting Fury at Wembley, getting 100,000 people, making 50 or 60 million, and whatever happens, sail into the sunset. That's going to be a fight that the whole British.
I agree, mate. Yeah.
It's like Amir Khan and Cal Brook. I mean, they waited till they were both washed up and they did the fight. I mean, why didn't they do it when they were at their peak? That's what I don't, because, now we're both washed up, we're going to do it, and the result doesn't really matter. I mean, Joshua, I think you beat Usyk in a rematch. I think he'll fight a bit smarter and you'll beat him. I think he kind of, he got caught up a bit off guard last time, but I mean, Usyk's really a cruiserweight. He's 200 pounds. Joshua's not that bad. I mean, he's robotic, he's mechanical. He can box pretty well. He has got decent power. He can go 12 rounds solid. Technically, he's okay. Everything's pretty solid about him. And, he's pretty decent in rematches. So, I mean, I think that he can win this fight. And then after that, he can't muck around. He's just got to fight Tyson Fury, whether he takes less money or whatever. But look, I think Fury will come out of his exile to fight him. Fury just plays mind games and wants more money. But, Fury claims that he's a gypsy and all that. So it doesn't mean, what's the difference if you're going to get 50 million or 70 million? In reality, he's never going to spend it. He's probably already got another 50 million in the bank. All his family is set. If he really wants to fight with Joshua, you just do it and cut the BS out.
Yeah, I agree. And you could probably I agree, probably should have taken a leaf out of the Canelo book and said, well, forget about the immediate rematch. Let's just go for the biggest fight possible for me right now and worry about the rematch later. So anyway, we'll see. Talking point number 3, talking of Canelo, Prime Canelo beats Dimitri Bivol in rematch. Thoughts, Tassie? Because there's reports that, he's saying, there's been reports come out that he wasn't quite right for the last fight. I know they always say that when they lose. Prime Canelo, can he beat Bivol in a rematch?
Well, he was on the vegan diet. I'd say fucking start eating the steak again if I was him. But no, I think Canelo does. I think Canelo adjusts. He's that good. And, I think he can do it, yeah.
Yep. Pete?
The rematch is going to be at super middle. So that means Bivol's going to be a weakened cat going in there because, mate, he's going to lose, 3 kilo that he hasn't got, which means he's just going to change everything. His weight crash is going to be huge. So he won't be able to recover to be up. At super middle, Canelo could possibly stop him if he doesn't do the weight crash well and he hasn't fought at super middle. Yeah. He's going to kill himself to make the weight. It is what it is. But at super middle, I think Canelo wins that comfortably.
All right, a couple more there, guys, before we get into the quiz. Terence Crawford, Errol Spence won't happen. Now, this is coming from Bob Arum. He said the other day, he doubts it'll happen because just let me explain why. His thoughts are that there's just not the money there. He said both fighters deserve good money, but whether there's enough money in the pot, neither one of them are apparently massive sellers. The $80 or whatever it's going to cost for a pay-per-view, all the rest of it, he reckons there's just not enough money to go around. He's not saying it shouldn't happen. He just reckons that there's just not enough money for what these guys are going to want. There's just not enough money in the pot to make it happen. What do you think, Tassie?
It's happening in November, mate.
Well, this is yesterday he's saying this. He doesn't think it'll happen.
Tim Zoo's been flown over to be part of the broadcast team. So, mate, it's happening in November.
Okay, well, we'll wait till the official announcement, but I hope that's the case. Pete?
Look, I think that he's, Bob's probably got a bit of sour taste in his mouth because he pumps so much money into Crawford, and obviously Crawford's not a big seller, so he kept losing money on him, and now the money's meant to be made, and Bob's not going to get a whack out of it, or Top Rank's not going to get a look in. So of course he's going to be bitter about it. That's going to be a terrific fight, and more importantly, the fight will happen, but I mean, we'll all have, a tip on that, but I can't see Crawford losing that.
I agree.
No,
I think it'll happen. I think these fights they'll find a way to make it happen. I think that he was saying that maybe they might try and do the percentage of pay-per-view and all that sort of stuff, which he doesn't think the fighters will accept. They'll want money, guaranteed money, all the rest of it. But I'm with you. I think there's probably an element of sour grapes there, and probably more hopeful more than anything that it won't happen for both guys now he's not involved. But I think, I agree that if that's the case, Taz, it will be November, but I think either way it'll get done. All right, last one. Teofimo Lopez needs to let it go. Now, he's been quoted again this week. He's going on about his illnesses. I can't pronounce the illness that he had, but he said it was air in his chest and neck that affected his breathing. I think George put up a social media post, which was brilliant. Actually had Lopez in the change rooms before the fight, carrying on, there's no signs of any illness or injury there. So, Pete, I'll start with you. Do you think he just needs to let it go, get over it, do what George Kambosos did, cop it like a man and just move on?
What do you say? I mean, you've got to be gracious in defeat and show a bit of class, obviously, and he hasn't been. And just move on. I mean, George was a warrior on a night, and he outboxed him. It was that. Move on. Move up to 140, do what you have to do because you're a super talented fighter, and just get on with your life. I mean, it's the numbers in the frame. You got beat. Move on. There's not much we can do about it now. It's past tense. Yeah,
he hasn't really done himself many favours, has he, Tassie? Because he has not stopped for 8 months or whatever it's been, where George, no matter what you think of him, he copped his loss like a man, and he's moved on, and he's got himself a rematch, and that's where he plans to do his talking.
It's a joke from day one, mate, the way he carried on. I mean, he's a very talented fighter, like Peter said, and I think, he'll probably win a belt at 140, but, it's childish. It's just made him sort of look very, very bad, mate. And no one likes a sore loser in any sport or any part of life. And I'm surprised at that level that you actually like that. I mean, the whole world's watching you. Everyone's listening to the interviews. Like, don't you learn from a young age to take it like a man and don't be a bad sport? So, mate, it's very, very bad. It shows that he's got a mental weakness. And I think I think he'll still be champion again one day, but people won't forget the way he's acted because it's just enough's enough now.
Yeah.
Like, just get over it, and move on.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, good stuff tonight there, guys. Let's get on to the segment everyone's been waiting for, though. And of course, I'm referring to the Boxing Deep Dive quiz. It is Grant Tassie Brown against Pistol Pete Maniatis. Now, again, we're not keeping numbers here or a count. We know that Tassie's well ahead, but Pete, it's all about pride. We've still got plenty of time to make up the totals. And again, we've got 10 questions, 5 Aussie questions, 5 world questions, including the Who Am I? So we'll get straight into it. The 5 Aussie questions first. Remember, if you get it wrong, the other one gets a free crack at it, and then we'll move on. All right, here we go. Number 1. In what year did Lester Ellis turn pro?
Peter.
Yes, Peter.
1983.
Correct. 1983 it was. And, of course, he won the world title about 18 months later. So he didn't waste any time. Number 2. All right. Who was Jeff Fennick's opponent in his last world title fight?
Tassie.
Yes, Tassie?
Philip Holiday.
No. Sorry. You are correct. Sorry, Philip Holiday has stopped in 2 rounds. Yeah, I had the wrong one there, but you're correct. So that is correct. Number 3. Before the Devin Haney fight, how many fights in a row had George Kambosos fought overseas?
Peter.
Yes, Peter.
4.
Incorrect. Tassie?
5.
7. He had 7 straight fights overseas, which is a
Come on,
great
Peter.
effort.
Should have got that, mate. He's your boy. He's your boy.
All right, 1-1. Number 4. How many fights in total did Robbie Peden have in Australia?
Tassie.
Yes, Tassie.
2. 2.
2's correct. His final 2 fights were in Australia, if you can believe that.
In the last one.
Yeah, so it's hard to believe he spent his whole career overseas except for his last 2 fights. Number 5. Who did Johnny Famechon beat to win the world featherweight title?
Tassie.
Yes, Peter.
Fighting Harada.
Incorrect. Tassie?
He was a Cuban. Jose Legara.
Yeah, close enough. Legra. Well, I'll pay that in 1969. Come on, Pete. We've still got time to get the win. He did beat actually Fighting Harada twice, by the way.
It's
What?
Kim Kwon Yu. I get wrong. It's Kill Kwai Yu.
No. You got it totally backwards. You said Kill One U or something. That's a little bit different. That was, you said Legara. It's Legra. I'll pay it. All right. Number 6. How many successful defences did Joe Lewis make of the heavyweight title?
Tassie.
Peter?
21.
Incorrect. Tassie?
I already know it now.
18.
Incorrect. It was 25.
You said
25.
Oh, 20.
Yeah, successful defences. He had 25. How many straight knockouts did Mike Tyson have before being...
Peter.
Yes, Peter?
31.
Incorrect. Before being taken the distance.
Oh.
14.
19 he had before James Quick Tillis took him the distance. What is that, 3-1? I think it is.
Yeah.
All right, number 8. Who was the first person to win world titles in 4 divisions? 4 divisions.
Peter.
Tassie?
Hitman Thomas Hearns.
He did. 4 world titles. He won. Number 9. What city hosted the Costa Zoo Julio Cesar Chavez fight?
Tassie.
Yes, Tassie?
Phoenix.
It was Phoenix, Arizona. Yep, in the year 2000. Who am I? I was born on September 7th, 1961. After an amateur career of 400 wins and only 4 losses, I turned pro in 1980 with a first round KO. After 15 straight wins, I won my first world title in 1983 and then went on to unify the title in 1985 to become the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. In my second defence, I suffered a shock stoppage loss in 1986 in the upset of the year. 3 fights later, I moved up in weight to challenge for another world title, but was sensationally knocked out in the 5th round. Even though I won a version of the title 1 year later, I was never the same and suffered losses in 3 world title fights over the next 3 years. After a 6-year retirement, I returned in 1997, but was stopped in 7 rounds in what turned out to be my last fight. My final record was 34-6 with 25 KOs. I was known as the Lone Star Cobra.
Tassie.
Yes, Tassie?
Tassie.
Yep.
Donald Curry.
Donald Curry. You're right. Pete, I will apologise for the Legra one. You are technically correct. It said Legra. I paid it. It didn't make any difference in the end, but I do apologise, but you're right. But having said that, the one kill you one, you got all over the place. It wasn't in the right order and it was the wrong name. So I'm not backing down on that one, but you are correct.
Well, lucky doesn't matter, yeah?
No, I think you said you killed one or something, but anyway, but you are right. It should be pronounced.
Who killed Bill? Who killed Bill?
Who killed Bill? So, yes, you are right. So, for future reference, it must be 100% correct or it's incorrect. So, I apologise to you, Pete. It wasn't Legara, it's Legra, and it should have been paid.
It's okay. It's not a
problem. No, rules are rules. So, not conceding that you got the
matter,
one
mate.
kill you one right, but that's
It was
correct.
it was a landslide tonight. A landslide.
All right. Well, I think we're going to have to get Mike Altamura on here at some stage to give you a bit of competition.
Mate. You can dig up Customato. Dig Customato up, and I'll beat his ass as well. Anyone can get it.
I think, but hey, look, I think it was just being beaten to the punch. He's just a little quicker on the draw, Pete.
Call Freddie, call Floyd Senior. Anyone you want can get it. Anyone.
It took you right to the nickname of Donald Curry to get that right, by the way. I would expect it to be.
I knew who it was, mate. I was just waiting a bit.
Okay. All right.
I knew who
Well,
it was,
guys,
buddy.
well, that's it for tonight, guys. Again,
I'm off to Bar Bambi. Come meet me for a drink, Pete. Bar Bambi.
all good, guys. Really appreciate you being on. It's been another big show. That was episode 41. Look forward to seeing you next week for another big show. Should be more exciting news being announced, and no matter what news there is, we will cover it. And again, guys, great to have you on. And we'll see you next week.
Okay, see you.
Boys.